Welcome everyone to Unscripted Coding. Today we're going to talk about how to take different file types like PDFs, Microsoft Word documents, Excel, PowerPoint, HTML, and turn them into raw, plain text. Why would you want to do that? For the most part, it's LLMs. It's AI. If I want to do something interesting with PDFs, before AI, it's probably to take out pages, splice them together, do these kind of things. But today, the most interesting thing I can do is ask it to summarize a text, ask it to write a report, ask it specific questions about that text. And since we're a programming channel, when we engage with Gemini API, when we engage with GPT-5 as an API, they're looking for plain text. So we need to do the conversion from PDF to plain text so that we can send it over, ask it questions, get a response back. Now, there are exceptions, but for the most part, these APIs don't handle PDFs themselves. Yes, you might be able to convert them into images and ask them to OCR it. That's a bad idea generally. And also you could potentially find some of the APIs that do handle different files. I think Gemini and Google is one that will take some file types and do some conversion. But for the most part, most of these APIs will require plain text or just images, not DOCX files, not PDFs. So today, what I was really quite excited to see was apparently there are whole new projects. This one's called Docling and another one is called Markitdown, where they convert a lot of different file types, the ones we mentioned and more, into plain text or Markdown. So we're going to test those two, but what I want to tell you is kind of the story, a very quick timeline of what I've been doing. Now, personally, I've been working with PDFs with AI APIs since the start. And so for me, right at the start, not a lot of interest. So I was using PyMuPDF after testing a bunch of different PDF processors and Python DOCX. I work in the legal field, so I see a ton of Word documents and PDF files. So these kind of covered the major bases. I had nothing to deal with images, scans, Excel files, PowerPoints, and so on. But with PDF and DOCX, I covered most of my bases. Now, the problem with these is, for example, PyMuPDF, it uses OCR. It's not perfect. But other kind of annoyances is how they do the page break. How if there are footers or page numbers at the end of every page, it kind of gets inserted along with it. So it was never great, but it was all right by the end of it. Python DOCX was particularly painful. Word documents are just really, really painful to deal with. But one of the other problems is that it only uses DOCX files. So if I encountered, and I frequently did, older pre-2003, I think, document files with regular .doc, it couldn't handle it. So I had a bit of a hacky solution in which those get converted. This was painful, but it kind of worked for the most part. Early on, these were just tests. But where I settled into quite quickly was Azure AI Document Intelligence. Now, this is an online service. You upload the file through an API and you get a response back. What was nice was that it was fast. It did a way better job than I did. And in general, I just enjoyed it quite a bit. It took out all the thinking. It handled every kind of file imaginable. But it did cost money. It's a fraction of a penny every page. But it added up. I spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on document intelligence. But the latest problem is my new workplace I don't have access to this. I don't have clearance for this either. We can't just upload it to any kind of provider. And so I started searching and I dusted off my old solution here. What was cool was I found that they have a version specifically for LLMs now. And I kind of dove deeper into that rabbit hole and I found out there are two different solutions here. It shouldn't be surprising. Lots of people work with these file types and eventually somebody would open source and build it. But this Docling comes very highly recommended, and this one happens completely offline as well. This is from IBM, so you know, a big reputable brand will outprogram me any day. All these contributors will outdo it any day, and they provide a bunch of different solutions. So this one happens all offline, locally on your computer, and Microsoft has a similar kind of tool. This one's called Markitdown. It converts all of these different file types, right through here again, all of these different file types into Markdown. The slight difference is while Docling is meant to be completely handled offline, locally on your computer, Microsoft has kind of paired multiple pieces together. So certainly you can run it on a computer, Python 3.10, and start running it. But you'll see that there are other plugins. So you can connect it to Azure Document Intelligence, so something I really love, to kind of parse through it. So both of these are Python based. If you're incorporating it into a web app, you're probably going to need to run a server or whatever. But I wanted to see how these two compete just on a basic set of file types. So I went on Cursor and created a simple test here. And so what I'm going to do is just start running because it will take a while. And apologies, I need to copy the file name and start running it. But what I wanted to do is just show you nowadays, if you use Cursor, you could use any kind of AI tool. I'm sure if you ask chat-gpt, it'll write a very similar script. I asked it to use Docling and Markitdown and just do a comparison. Now, because there are no API keys or anything, it's quite simple. For me, there are quite significant requirements, so you're probably looking at 200-300 megabytes worth of downloads. But once you install those requirements, this one is quite straightforward. We're just going to go through each of the documents in the root folder, and it's just going to parse through with Docling and Markitdown and send it over. Now, what I have is a series of different files. I have some that are secured, some that are certified. So these are PDFs that might have a signature, might have one of those security things that don't allow you to do anything. I have a scan, I have regular doc file, DOCX file, and different pieces. This one's an invoice with a chart or a table. I don't use a lot of tables, so I don't really care so much. But I just wanted to run through a series of these and see just side by side how well Docling and Markitdown will do. If you go online, you will find other comparisons. I have found in general, Docling wins a slight edge in terms of the accuracy of the text. But I will be honest, so many people are focused on scanned documents, and it's important. But for the most part, if you're parsing out DOCX, PowerPoint, Excel file, yeah, the layout matters, but pulling the text out is not a problem. I expect for DOCX to be 100% accurate. It might have some kind of artifacts and formatting issues, definitely, but the actual text, is in the file itself. So there's no kind of OCR issue. It's just scans of images and PDFs that might pose a problem. So, as it runs through, you're going to see that Markitdown in general has been quicker. Look at this, 79 seconds versus 0.2 seconds. We are a far ways off from going through all of them, so I'm going to stop talking, just pause for a moment, and come back when it's done. But for the most part, what I'm looking for is whether it at least attempts all of the different file types. Okay, so we have completed it. Interestingly enough, neither Docling nor Markitdown were able to parse the old doc file. So pre-2003-ish Word document, the .doc file, neither of them parsed it. So that was interesting. If we wanted to, we could throw it into Azure Document Intelligence. In the past, that has never been an issue for me. Okay, more importantly, let's take a look at the results. So I'm just gonna open this up and take a look here. Just gotta zoom in. So there's something wrong with my script, obviously, because each file was parsed twice. Success, content, metadata. I think it's metadata. No, content, sorry. That's what we wanted to take a look at. And we'll have to wrap the text, and here we go. One second, let me just make this easy to look at. Okay, so we have this sample explained. This is probably the longer document, and so I'm gonna open it over here. You can see a table. There's an image here, just some different what do you call those, different columns. So there's a variety of different styling here, and you can see that Docling also outputs in Markdown format. So there is a table that's helpful. There's some I would hesitate to throw any points at this. Generally speaking, this is Excel rather than the output that's creating some of these artifacts. But this looks pretty good. What is the best way to look at this? Let's just move ourselves all the way down. Bullets, headers, this looks pretty good. Tables, and they also handled sample data file. This is probably not perfectly good here. How they did two different headers and then put all this on the side. If you go back to the image here, this should be two different columns. So, I mean, I have no complaints. If this was shoved into an LLM, it would do fine. If we look at the Markitdown version of this, gosh, that's annoying. You'll find that the results are far worse. This page 3 of 4, the Markdown is weird. Although it did split up the two columns properly. So there's a bit of both, but it didn't try and create tables in the same way. Interesting that Markitdown has less of the Markdown look. Okay, next one. This is an OCR task. So once again, I'm just going to send it over here. You can see that this is a scanned document. I cannot select the text. There's a header. This is a pretty standard document. This one's just slightly tilted. As we take a look here, I really do like how Docling is handling this in that it identifies at the very top where there's missing images. This looks just fine. If we look at Markitdown, oh, interesting. Markitdown didn't try to OCR this file. So I think possibly it needs to connect to Azure Document Intelligence or some other file to do the OCR. Okay, next bit. I'm just going to go through these. As I said before, the DOCX, I have no problems with these ever. They always look fine in terms of extracting the document out. The old document files didn't work. Certified, both of them were able to pull out information. Docling seems to be doing better. Certified, secured. Both of them were able to pull out the right text in the secured files. The unsecure file, same thing, no problem. Scan sample, another one. I don't remember which one this is, so let's move this here. It's another letter. This one's more of it's more grainy than the last one. Maybe not so bad, but still needs OCR, and you'll see Docling, similar result as last time, and Markitdown doesn't make an attempt. Finally, the invoice. Docling tries to create a table. It generally looks okay over here. Markitdown, not so much. This is kind of what I'd expect from OCR. Okay, so what are my thoughts here? If we go back here, Docling takes longer across the board, but Markitdown didn't attempt a series of the harder ones. They both failed in the doc files, but just on this basis, this simple test, I would go for Docling time after time. I'm actually quite impressed with the formatting and how it's handling the image of having that. It's the small things that make a difference here. So, to summarize here, we have these new libraries where I don't have to do it by hand anymore. These repos you want to pay attention to, and this one, just had a release 2 weeks ago, Docling, will be so much better than trying to maintain your own solution. Local is an option. If you are willing to pay a bit of money, I recommend Azure Document Intelligence. I did try a bunch of them. I remember Google's, I don't remember what they were called, but their OCR, like their online service, kind of stunk in comparison. But these change over time. So if you go and look at comparisons all the time, they kind of move up and down. But finally, we have something that looks relatively good, can be run locally. So I think I will be using Docling and pairing it up potentially with one of the available cloud services moving forward. But quite happy with how this turned out. Note that we haven't tried out like WAV files, MP3 in terms of audio recognition, but these are covered by both of them as well. So here there's audio. I don't care about any of that. I just wanted PDF and document files, and it looks like Docling does a great job of it. So that is all that I have today. Oh, one last thing. Way back when, I also did a quick project in having AI improve OCR results. This seems like a great way to augment Docling as well. What I mean by that is right now the scans I threw are very basic. They're very clean files. There's no missing chunks, really grainy text, anything like that. But in the past, I've seen lots of these where there's just whole chunks missing. And how I did it was I would use OCR. I think I was using Tesseract, which is local, has a bunch of artifacts. So it might think this is an L, and it might think this I is a T, whatever. Lots of these kind of spelling mistakes. And then I threw it through an LLM, and it was probably GPT-4 at the time, to say, look, this is a scan, fix the obvious spelling mistakes, and then leave the rest intact. And that was really, really great. And so one of the ways we can improve Docling, if you're using it for an LLM, is potentially to let the LLM know that it's a scan, and potentially ask it to fix obvious spelling mistakes only, nothing else. Okay, I hope that was informative, and we'll see you next time with more tips and tools. Thanks for watching. Bye.